Hey guys, Uncommon Ramen here. Today I want to take a look at a game called Zoo Tiles Hime. This is a request of one of my commenters, specifically who asked me to do this video. Not that I didn't want to pick up the game. I was actually intending on picking up this game at some point in time, but it just, because it's two players, has been hard for me to justify picking up. But I figure, why not? Let's check it out. So we're gonna do a quick unboxing. I'll do what I don't usually do, which is a rules explanation, or at least a quick recap of what I read about the rules, because I did have a chance to look through this really quickly. Let's just pour out the tiles here. There are 40 tiles per deck, as they like to put it. And they are separated with these placeholders, these reaction placeholders and action placeholders, which I can explain a little bit later. But that is how they chose to separate the decks in the box, so that you know which deck belongs to which, or which stack belongs to which deck. So we have the action stack, and we have the reaction stack. So yeah, those are the tiles, and you can see. Let me just get a picture of the box here. It pretty much fills up the box. There's not really room for anything else. So this is a very hefty box despite its size. Just move that off to the side there. So let's take a look at the tiles. First off, these are the placeholders. These go in a... Well, I'll go into that when we go into like the battle stacks and stuff like that, the action stacks and battle stacks. But essentially, these are going to go in when, let's say, one of your tiles has an action or reaction, and it's not something that was necessarily played from your hand. This would indicate, oh yeah, by the way, this is the tile that's going. And then you can tell. So first off, we're gonna just take a look at this. We got a tiger. At the very bottom, it tells you. Right here, what deck it's from. So this says THD, that is tiger, horse, and dog. So you'll see here, they give you a large amount of tiger tiles. There are quite a few of these. And then next up, we have dog. Okay, quite a few dog. And then we have some actions. Up in this corner, you're going to see that it has an action-reaction symbol. So essentially, this can be used as either an action or a reaction, and it's going to be part of your hand. This one can only be used as a reaction. Same with this one. This one is only used as an action. And then this is an item, which I'll go into. We're going to keep going because that was just half of the tiger, horse, dog deck. This is loosely based off of the Chinese zodiac in the sense that they're using the creatures from the Chinese zodiac, and that's pretty much where it ends. So we got a horse, a lot of horse. Okay, so those are the creatures there, and then we're gonna have some actions here. Some items. We got Happy Tiger. Another action. Some action reactions. And there you go. So that covers the Tiger Horse dog deck. Okay. So go ahead and put these off to the side over here. That way we can cover the rabbit, pig, ram deck. And you'll know this one because at the bottom of the card it says RPR, rabbit, pig, ram. So we'll start off with the rabbit tiles. And the tiles, as far as the creatures are concerned right here, they're all exactly the same. There's literally no difference. So the rabbits are all 1/3s. Their compatibilities are all the same, so on and so forth. So that's all the rabbits. Right here, this symbol indicates an obstacle, which is obviously denoted by the obstacle right there. So we have the rabbit hole. Obstacles will have a strength and intelligence, much like the creatures do, because they do go on the table as opposed to actions, reactions like this. Some items, some more actions. All right, we're going to look at the next stack here. This one is going to cover the pig. So this is, let me just make sure. Okay, so that's all the pig tiles. So you can see 3 strength, 4 int, some compatibilities, which I'll go into. And we have some actions and reactions here. Then we have a ram. More actions, reactions. And that covers the tiles that are in this game. So really quickly, I'm going to run down. So this is what a creature tile looks like. When it references a creature tile in the rules, this is what it's talking about. And it's going to show the name of the creature, the symbol of the creature, the type of it, which is creature, obviously. And then these symbols on the side show compatibilities. So basically, in this game, you're going to score points by doing one of two things. You're either going to complete compatible squares, which means that 4 animals that are neighboring each other that are compatible with each other, which I'll explain in further detail a little bit later, or by attacking and defeating another neighboring creature. So when you're talking about compatibilities, essentially the neighboring creatures to this tile should be one of these following creature types, right? So the pig is compatible with pig. It is also compatible with tiger, bunny, dragon, rat, and ram. Right, and so if we look at, like, for instance, the rabbit here, the rabbit's compatibilities are ram, dog, pig, ox, and rabbit. And I don't know if they're always compatible with themselves, but for sure, the compatibilities do change based on the creature that we're looking at. Get that out of the way. So let me just find the ram really quick. Okay, so like the ram here is compatible with horse, ram, pig, and rabbit. So when they say compatible square, what we're talking about is something like, okay, so I have the rabbit in play, and then my opponent is going to play something. We'll just say like that won't be compatible because rabbit's not compatible with. So the rabbit's compatible with the dog. It looks like only. So what your opponent's going to do maybe is going to play the dog, right? So now we have 2 cards that are compatible with each other because the rabbit is compatible with the dog is compatible with the rabbit. Okay. And you can see that when you check the tiles. Let me see if I can get a good picture here. This rabbit shows that it is compatible with dogs, and this dog shows that it is compatible with rabbits. So them being together like this as a neighbor shows them as compatible. So now the next move I want to make on my turn is to find a way to either find a tile that is compatible with the dog or a tile that's compatible with the rabbit. And what I can see here is that rabbits are compatible with pigs, so I could potentially put this pig down neighboring my rabbit. And now, because my pig is compatible with the rabbit and the rabbit is compatible with the pig, I've created the third part of it. Now, this is where my opponent wants to jump in and try and create compatibility between the dog and the pig. So in this case, both the dog and the pig are compatible with a tiger. So if he played the happy tiger, which is compatible with everything, then he could claim this square right here as a fully compatible neighboring square, and then he would score 1 point for each creature that's in this square, and you would discard these tiles as well, specifically to his discard pile. So that's one way to get points. One of the things I forgot to mention right off the bat is that when you're playing tiles, the first tile you play can be played just right on the table. The next tiles that are played have to be played neighboring. And neighboring does not include diagonals. So this is not considered a neighboring play. Okay. So neighboring always has to be orthogonally fixed to the one of the current tiles that's on the table. So if this was, and this is obviously not a great setup because there's lots of rabbits here, but let's say this was the setup. The next tile that can be played here, 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 or here. Okay. Or even below. Just as long as it is on a neighboring tile, essentially. At any point in time during your turn, so let's just look at the rules really quick here. I'm going to show you the rule book. Okay. You can see just the different terminologies here. Right? And then during your turn, you can do any, like it said, any or all of the actions. There's 4 different actions. You do not have to do all of them. You do not have to do any of them if you don't want to. So you can see that. I'm a little disappointed by the black and white. Just gonna say that right off the bat. They had the funding to do cardboard tiles, but they couldn't do a color rule book. So the actions that are available are right here. Place a tile with strength and int into the playing area, start an action stack, start a second action stack, start a battle, or discard 2 tiles and draw a new tile. So placing the tile with a strength and int I just mentioned right there, you're going to find them with the strength and int, and that's going to be anything that is either a creature, an obstacle, or an item, and you're going to place it onto the table. And like I said, it has to follow the neighboring strategy. So if this is the first tile to be placed, then it can be placed anywhere, but after that, the next tiles have to be neighboring it. Then the following action was to start an action stack. So an action stack is pretty simple. To start an action stack, you have to have an action or an action reaction. And I'll show you one of those right there. So this is an action reaction. This is an action. And what you're going to do is you're just going to declare that you want to play an action, and you'll place that on the table off to the side of the playing area, not in the area where the creatures are being played. Now, once you have decided to play that action, your opponent has the opportunity to follow up with reactions at this point. And obviously action reactions count as reactions because they count both as an action or a reaction. So at that point, your opponent can say, okay, if you're playing that action, then I'm going to play, this reaction. And then it comes back to you, and you have the opportunity at that point to play a reaction if you choose as well. So you can just say, okay, I'm going to play this reaction, and it's going to keep going back and forth until either players don't have any more they can play, or they just both pass, in which case the stack is going to resolve from the top down. And so basically at that point, you're just going to pick the first tile up, resolve its action, then move on to the next tile, resolve its action, then move on to the final tile and resolve its action. And that's basically how an action stack works. There's not really anything more as far as like special rules are concerned behind that. I will point out that it does say you can start a second action stack, and I don't actually know why. When I was reading this, it didn't really say any benefits as to why. Unless, of course, well, unless they're saying you can do 2 per turn. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Then finally, one of the other options you can do is you can start a battle. So let's just say that this was. So I'm playing the tiger, horse, dog, and they're playing the ram, pig, rabbit deck. And this is what we have in play currently. And it is now my turn. I can choose to have my tiger attack the pig. Okay. And essentially, in an attack, what's going to happen is you're going to take one of the tiles in your hand, and you're going to, after you have identified who you're attacking and who you're attacking with, and you're going to place that tile face down. And that face down tile indicates that it is the attack tile, and it is the beginning of a battle action stack. So at this point, after you've identified your attacker, you've identified your defender, and you've started your battle action stack, the rules are the same as a normal action stack. So at this point, you've played your battle action. Now your opponent can play reaction cards from his hand to put on top of this, and then you can follow up by playing a reaction on top of that as well. So we'll just say he played a reaction, and now it is your turn to play an action or reaction, not an action or reaction, it has to be a reaction. So then I would place a reaction on the stack, and so on and so forth. And it's the same rules as an action stack, except with the one difference being that after the actions have resolved themselves and you've gotten down to the battle action stack, the battle action tile, this tile is removed and discarded, and the battle then ensues. And this is where you would just basically compare strengths and intelligences together. So if a player has both, so my tiger was attacking this pig. If my strength and my intelligence were both better than my opponent's, then I would take the pig and I would capture it, which is basically just putting it into my discard pile, and it would count as an victory point. If at any point, or if I don't win in both stats, then nothing happens. The attack fails, basically. So in the case of this one, my strength is better, but my intelligence isn't. So therefore, I wouldn't win unless throughout the course of the action reaction step, I had increased my strength increased my intelligence or decreased her intelligence. So you only win if you are higher in both strength and intelligence. So that's how battling works. Battling uses an action stack, just like a normal action stack happens, except that the action stack will always end in a face down tile that's considered the battle action tile. And that is the indication of when you're supposed to compare your intelligence and strengths. Okay, and then finally, you can choose the discard 2 tiles and draw. So once you hit that point where you're discarding 2 tiles and drawing, that indicates that it's the end of your turn and the beginning of your opponent's turn. You can alternatively on your turn do absolutely none of these actions. And let me read exactly what it says so I'm not wrong here. After a player completes all actions they want for their turn, they must draw a tile from one of their draw stacks in front of them. If the player took no actions on their turn, they may draw 1 additional tile. So essentially, if you took any actions at all, including the discard 2 and draw 1, you still draw a tile at the end of your turn. If you took no actions, you actually draw 2 tiles at the end of your turn. And that is basically what Zoo Tiles Hime is. Essentially, it is about strategically placing your creatures in a way that you can either battle and win or create neighboring squares that are all of compatible creatures. Now, when you're playing creature tiles, they do not have to be compatible to be neighbors. Okay, so for instance, let's say this rabbit was played, and then my opponent decides as a neighbor to play the tiger. Neither the tiger nor the rabbit are compatible with each other. And this is a legal move, and it's really just put in there so that you can kind of stop your opponent from getting a compatible square, if that was something that was happening. Remember that when you get a compatible square, you remove all 4 tiles that were part of that compatible square from the play area completely. So it's as if they are discarded, and whatever was left in play will stay in play. If that means that certain tiles no longer are neighboring, that is part of the consequence of playing. That's just how that works. But that is Untitled Hime, and it is the goal of the game is to get to 12 victory points. Let me just make sure. Right. Where was it? Just make sure that I'm telling the truth here. To win, the first player to earn 12 points wins the game. At the beginning of the game, I didn't go over setup, but essentially you shuffle all the tiles that are part of your deck, which there's going to be 40 in total, not the placeholders. Boom. You're going to shuffle all of these together. Then you're going to create 5 face-down stacks, and then you're going to draw, I believe, 5 tiles. And again, let me just make sure. Yep, you each draw 5 tiles. Make sure your starting hand consists of at least 1 creature. Otherwise, you're going to have to reshuffle, recreate the stacks, and redraw, because your starting hand always has to have at least 1 creature in it. And yeah, that's it. Really quick, something that they point out multiple times that I think is a weird oddball rule, but definitely needs to be addressed. You cannot attack your own creatures. So if it's a creature that you played for the turn, you cannot attack it. That's not the same for items or obstacles, however. It does not matter who put the obstacle in play. You can choose to attack it if it is yours. You just cannot attack your own creatures. And that is Untitled Hime. I think. Yep. I think so. All right. If you have any comments, please leave them below. The comments are the reason that I even went ahead and picked this game up to do the video for. Not, again, that I wouldn't have done it at some point in time eventually, but I decided that since I needed some content and this guy had asked me to do it, and I already had intended on picking up this game, why not? So hit me up in the comments. I will definitely take a look at games that people want to see videos for, and I will do my best to get a video up for them. If you liked the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. And I believe that's it, folks. Until next time, peace.